Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? It's me, your good friend Splendid Land, here to celebrate the 5th anniversary of my stupid Megaman game. It's what a year it's been. um, I don't really know. I don't have a lot else to say. Um, so I guess we should just jump in and play this stupid game. I'm still proud of it. Every part of it, even the path. It's good. Let's play. Here it is. That's a picture of me laying down in my shed, uh, which is pretty much the best title screen I could have come up with. So here's Megaman in his house, which is one color of goodness. Let me just sort some stuff out of the stream here. I apologize if my voice is a bit off, because I am ill, but I'm putting through it. I'm braving my illness to bring you my wonderful game. Okay. So right off the bat, it's worth pointing out that none of this game was planned out. I pretty much just made the entire game, making it up as I went along. Dr. Dad is like Dr. Light. He's an old man who lives in a computer like everyone else in this game. The twist that comes later in the game, I won't tell it now for anyone who's just joining. That was not planned. I made the entire thing up as the plot needed it. Is the audio a bit better now? My voice is at max. How about now? Is this better? Good old Dogmobile. I was planning on stepping on the path just to put myself through the pain that I put all of you through, but I decided against it just because I'm ill and welcome everyone to my stream. It's been a heck of a 5 years. Some of my favorite YouTubers have like played the game, which is it's been great, you know, seeing anyone let's play something that you made and getting their reactions to it is always a great experience. The combat in this game is pretty much nothing, but it doesn't need to be anything. I don't think anyone came into this expecting a deep RPG. This is Mountain Man, who's one of the characters I made up for this game. He's kind of like... he has like a vestigial twin on his back. I think they get into arguments. I don't think they like each other very much. I originally wanted to make a bestiary for this game where you could like read about the different characters and enemies, but I never figured out how to make it at the time. But my new game will have a bestiary. This is Uncle Proton. Everyone loves him. He's basically Mr. Plinkett from Red Letter Media, but he's Proto Man also. Here's some more Cave Story music. All of the music from the game I pretty much just stole from vgmusic.com. It's all MIDIs. MIDIs all the way. MIDIs are the future of music. All of the backgrounds in the game are just... I drew all of the backgrounds in a program called Google Images. I don't know where any of them are actually from. Here's Quickman. He's like the rival. He's basically Gary Oak. When I was a kid, I thought that VG Music was like the actual music from the games, and I just thought the Game Boy had better music than I remembered, but unfortunately I've learnt about what MIDIs are now. Well, that's not an unfortunate thing. MIDIs are wonderful, but I just remember saying something along the lines to my friend like, oh, you know, those old games, the graphics weren't quite there, but the music was top-notch. This good old, I think it was Mario Land or Wario Land 1. I'm not sure, I don't quite remember. It's also worth pointing out, at this point in time, I have never played Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. I think this was like Convergent Evolution. I never actually played it, and I really didn't know a lot about it before this. So the whole like, in times of chaos, I need to dunk line or whatever it was, that was like a coincidence. I've not played it. I really should at some point. People keep comparing this game to that, but I think it's just basketball is funny. Not basketball. Mega Man's what catchphrase is also a complete accident. When I was making the comics, I made the second one and I forgot to like delete the image for the what line, and it just kind of stayed as like a kind of disgruntled response to everything. So it was a beautiful accident. And I think it kind of sums up a lot of the situations in this game as well, so... Oh, here's Sugar Man. Oh, see ya. A few characters died from eating basketball pasta, yeah. That we'll come back to that later. There's like a way to kill Sugar Man in the game. Dad is your item, and you can throw it at him, and it actually like bypasses his defenses because I made Sugar Man intended him to be completely unkillable, but it's a complete accident that he actually is if you do this to him. Dad has like a different damage map, so for some reason, and that like bypasses his defenses. People thought it was like a joke about sugar daddies, but I'm not that crude, come on. Here's like, oh, never mind, there's slush in the way to interrupt my thoughts, just like in real life. These are like just generic NPCs. There's not really anything else to them than that, but... They're just men and women and boys and girls, and you can push this kid around. Megaman Sprite came about because a friend of mine was like redesigning Megaman Sprite just for fun, like an art project, and I wanted to like... I was just like in a shitposty mood, so I made fun of him by drawing my own Megaman Sprite, and that's the one that was used in the comic. And I made a few more characters on that same evening. I made, I think I made like Zero, Uncle Proton, and Quickman, and I ended up making like a comic out of them, and the rest is history. This is probably my favorite NPC in the game. Yeah, you may not have known this also, but Bass as R2-D2, there's no real joke there, that's just... There was no it was just a stupid joke. He's like hidden in almost every map. There's about... I think I hid around 11 of them. I actually intended that if you found all of them, you'd get like a hidden ending or something, but I never bothered. This is the Tower of Druaga segment. Tower of Druaga is like a weird arcade game where you fight slimes and get harassed by the Grim Reaper or fireballs or something. In this one it's just RPG encounters. I actually wanted to have every enemy in the game like appear on the overworld like the slimes do here, kind of like Earthbound. I never got around to that as well because the way I did it here was also kind of clunky and awful, but... Hey, it works well enough for this one map. I have nothing to say about Snake Man. Sorry if you want some gripping commentary on him, but there's nothing to say. He's nothing. Crud. Crap. People Past is a joke from the comic. The fake Dr. Wily here. Sorry, I spoiled the joke. That's like the only thing I actually planned about the game, and the rest I had that in mind and made a story that would build up to that. I think this game actually looks quite nice for what it is. I enjoyed making all of the graphics for this game. Yeah, there's a little thing here where, depending on what side of the airplane you enter, it takes you to like a different part of it. Anyway, let's go sit down. I wanted to have a cutscene where the plane actually takes off, but I forgot, so it's not very clear what the plane is actually doing at the moment. But hey, you can probably figure it out. Such good dialogue. This game is very profound, I think. I think I'm one of the great philosophers, perhaps. At least Megaman is. Pretty much every fight you can just hold down the spacebar to win, but... Speaking of Quickman, there's actually people who speedrun this game for reasons I can't quite comprehend, but... This dialogue is better than Quentin Tarantino. Love this sprite here. It's still funny to me. Yeah, there's a few people who speedrun this. I think the quickest time is about half an hour or 40 minutes or something. I'm not quite sure. That whole sequence was basically inspired because I also hate planes. You can use video games as a way to vent your problems. Haunted Sand is probably one of my favorite enemies in the game. It doesn't attack. It has no attacks. It just sits there. Apologies for coughing. Extreme Dinosaur is also another classic enemy. It's kind of a callback to an older game I made where an enemy was called a Street Shark, and which was also made in the same engine, both of them are named after bad Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ripoffs from the 90s. This character's official name is Cactus Jack, in case you were wondering. I know he's a very compelling character, so if you want to add that to the Megaman Sprite game wiki, if that exists, then be my guest. Now that I think about it, I really should have included a Star Wars Attack of the Clones reference with the sand enemy, but whatever. I don't really know how Uncle Proton ended up here. He didn't join you on the plane, but I think he can just go where he wants. Yeah, the pumpkins make a sound clip from that weird pumpkin flash game for babies, where he eats the food. You know what? I'm gonna go and get the bad ending right now. I need to at least show it off. Cactus Jack's laugh sound effect is Magneto from the X-Men arcade game. A lot of people think this music is from Castlevania. It's from a game called ActRaiser, which I intended as a little reference to Rockman 4 Minus Infinity, which is an incredible ROM hack that you should definitely play if you haven't already. Ferroman is another great character, I think. He's got one of my favorite designs in this. I was actually originally planning to have a time travel segment where it would turn out that Snake Man and Ferroman are related somehow, and they both, or at least Snake Man's hat and Ferroman's hat are related. Zero really doesn't have much of a character, but he just he kind of became more of the voice of reason later on in the game, but right now you basically play as two of the same character, but I think there's a charm to that as well. It's like a less horny Cho Aniki. Anyway, let's get the bad ending. Everyone fucking hates this ending, but I still think it's funny. I wish I didn't put the sign off the path. I think that went a little bit too far, but the rest I think is great. I have no regrets. Anyway, let's go and get the good ending. Well, it's not the ending here, the game carries on. But let's go and carry on past that point at least. The bad ending of the path is kind of a reference to Cave Story, how it had like really obtuse mechanics for getting the good ending. I wanted to do that, but like actually make the game playable. Oh, the bad ending music is from Bubble Bubble, the game that like punished you for having no friends. The music in Ferroman's boss fight is from Shatterhand, I think? I don't quite remember. This game took around 6 months to make. I wasn't working on it the whole time though, I pretty much just worked on it on weekends, but it didn't take a terribly long amount of time to make. I really enjoyed making it though. I actually intended the game to be around like as long as this desert area, but it kind of grew and grew, and I kept wanting to make more. I pretty much made it as long as I wanted to. Like, when the game ends, it's pretty much exactly where I wanted to wrap it up, so it's kind of perfect in that way. If you haven't walked off the path, his proof is fake, and Snake Man gets arrested forever. Yeah, the music with the magic bee-balls is Star Tropics. That cop is meant to be Fake Man, and it's pretty much just a joke about, like, police brutality and corruption. You can see Bass up here, I think. There he is. You don't get a good glimpse of him. Bass is like a cryptid. But there's actually another secret in here that I put in. This one's especially stupid, but there's a little Breaking Bad joke here. Breaking Bad being such a kind of complex show, I gave them perhaps the stupidest lines in the entire game. That's that. I was watching the show at the time, so I just wanted to put it in there. The secret is out, now you know. It's called the Path Pass because you're not allowed to walk off the path until you have it. The only thing I slightly regret about the bad ending is that all of the stuff that's actually good comes after it, and I think a lot of people stopped playing because of the bad ending. I remember reading a review of this game where the reviewer said that the game was lazy and sloppy, and there wasn't really any reason to play past the bad ending, and which is why he didn't, which was a bit upsetting to me, but I only have myself to blame for that, so I pretty much refused to learn scripting until until past that point. I had to learn how to script in order to make the bad ending, and at that point I learned how to make more complicated cutscenes. So beyond this point, the game kind of gets more and more complex in its design as you play. Here's some Pokemon music. I tried to have a good balance of well-known and obscure music in the game. None of the music in this game is actually from Megaman, and that was completely intentional. Yeah, Ghost Wave is meant to be Wave Man from Mega Man 3. I'd do a funny Mr. Plinkett voice if I was less ill, but I love this dialogue down here. It's character development. These are the characters from the village earlier. I don't want to fight these ones right now. Here's Bubble Man. I think this is one of the boss fights that can actually be run away from. Some of the bosses I forgot to set the tag that stops them from being escaped from, but I'll kill him. Oh, Sugarman is one I made up. The thing of him being a fan submission was just a joke. He's not based on anything. I just wanted to come up with silly robot masters for my comic. Bubbleman also has one of my favorite designs in the game. I think his old-fashioned bathing suit is great. I'm never gonna top this game, honestly. This is as good as it gets for me. Here's some good old Tomba music. Yeah, I've noticed in a lot of people's Let's Plays that they still adhere to the path here because of the betrayal of game design earlier, which is a fun psychological effect that I've inflicted on people. Uncle Proton can breathe underwater because he hasn't got any lungs because he's a robot, I guess. This is one of the only songs that's not a MIDI. This is a MIDI. Here's Roll, who I think is one of the funnier designs in the game, but I kind of have a lot of, like, I feel like I could have introduced her character better, and she doesn't really stick around very long. You know, that's one of the kind of few misgivings I have about this game. I wish she kind of got introduced earlier in the story as well. Like, perhaps she could have had a house earlier in the game. There's Safari Man, another really good robot master. Yeah, all of the graphics in this game I made from scratch. These are Slash Men, who are basically just the character Tomba from the PS1 game. I just really like that game and wanted to put him in here. Here's my awful stealth segment. It doesn't really work properly, but it works enough for what this game is. There he is, there's Bass again. This is the prank room. Most of the graphics were like based on the original Mother game more than anything. I love all of the bread jokes in this area. It never actually occurred to me at the time that all of the bread jokes also had to do with Roll being named Roll. That was like a mistake that someone pointed out to me later. So that's like accidental humor. My partner is the one who made the voice for Slash Man. The little nya noise that they make when they die. This game has voice acting. The whole Slash Man area was actually added like after I finished the volcano. I went back and played it, and the whole jungle area felt really plain. So I went back and added a new segment to it to make it interesting. Originally, you came up here and it just led to the volcano, but I put the secret Yellow Devil house in here instead. He's probably my favorite character in the whole game. Yeah, that's the Yellow Devil. He's extremely friendly compared to like everything else in the game. I really feel that in some ways I've like made people's vocabulary worse. Like I've seen people on YouTube comments, you know, that great bastion of intelligent discussion, using like quotes from my game to insult each other. A few years ago, someone added me on Skype to call me an asshole, which really took me by surprise. I know they were like trying to reference Megaman from this game, but it's kind of made me like stray away from the kind of misanthropic humor of this. At least a little bit. Oh no, I shouldn't have killed him. He's like one of my favorite enemies in the game. I'll let him do a few of his lines. Okay. Nah, his life's hard enough, let's leave him be. He's like, I based him on Negative Man from Level 3. I also wish I didn't call him an Eskimo, but I wasn't exactly educated when I made this game on issues like that, so apologies for that. Oh, here's the Rogues Gallery. I wanted every enemy in this game to be a bit of a surprise. Like, you keep playing the game to see more stupid enemies. There's half of base. Here's Hot Magma, who is extremely sexual, and also one of my favorite characters in this game. I don't have a lot to say about him. I think he kind of speaks for himself. Dinner's served. Farewell. He was kind of Hot Magma is based on like the Hyodane videos, like the really homoerotic music videos for all the Mega Man 2 robots. The final battle with Quickman. He's purple here because of a palette error. I made him purple just so that in the files of the game I could distinguish him from the, like, the pink version, and I just left it. I just figured he got a new palette because he's stronger this time. And he has some sweet F-Zero MIDI playing in the background. You can't be pink for that, you gotta be purple. This is probably one of the only battles in the game that you might actually need to heal for. Quickman is definitely like a SoundCloud rapper. This sound effect here is like one of the only actual sound effects from Mega Man in the entire game. Chili Man was kind of a Tengu Man reference. I made him intentionally to look similar. This is probably my favorite cutscene in the whole game. Especially landed on Moon. I actually originally intended for the Moon area to be playable. I drew a few enemy sprites for it here. Blizzard Man was going to be an enemy here. He was going to be based on the robot from Wallace and Gromit on the Moon. There's also going to be a Clanger from the beloved Oliver Postgate series. And Starman was an enemy too. Starman was the only one whose sprite I didn't accidentally delete, and he's in Mega Man Sprite Christmas as a Christmas tree ornament. A little reference to Mega Man Legends 3 there, because that was a thing at the time. Or at least it wasn't a thing at the time, and people were talking about it. There's Toadman. I'm still proud of that smear effect. God bless you, Dogmobile. This is, yeah, like I said earlier, this is something that I had no intention of making when I started this. In the very early version, there wasn't a phone in the house, and I just added it later to incorporate this, like, plot point. The line of dialogue about having a package to deliver and can you write on ghost paper, that I just wrote to be funny, and then I turned it into like a plot point later, which I think is just like how I work pretty much. Such a plot twist, right? Right, I'm gonna take a small break here. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, so see you soon. Hey, welcome back to Megaman Sprite Games' 5th anniversary celebration. I'll be starting again pretty much now. Hopefully everyone can hear me and I haven't messed up my settings while I've been gone somehow. Right. So when we left off, we had that amazing revelation and twist that I'm sure not a soul could have predicted. Oh yeah, I can go where I want now. Just remember where I put anything. What people don't give Mega Man Sprite Game credit for is that it deals with like a very heavy subject matter. There's a lot of lines of dialogue I probably would do differently now, but hey, this was 5 years ago. Also, one of my favorite lines of dialogue in the game. I feel like everything up until this point was building up to this. No one ever checks out the ghosts. Not these ones don't do jack shit, but these ones have lines of dialogue. Another Magneto laugh there. I guess these ones say the same thing. All the enemies here are pretty much just big versions of the other older enemies. I regret not putting a giant Grinch, but oh well. If you have an idea for a game, then just make it. Mega Man Sprite Game I made on a complete whim, so I think you can make something good if you put your mind to it. Whether you want to call this good is like subjective, I suppose, but you know this part of the game is like where it starts meaning business because it starts reusing all the boss themes as regular enemy themes. That was also another really good joke, looking back. Again, I still think I could have written Roll to be a bit better, but I was dumb. I still think it's funny for what it's worth. This cutscene never works for some reason. I've never figured out why. Mega Man was meant to do like a little dance on the spot, and I've seen some Let's Plays where it works properly, and most of the time it doesn't. I have no idea why. At least I've seen about one Let's Play where it played properly. Uncle Proton is an omnivore to the greatest level. Game development is like easier than ever these days. If you want to make a game, then you can still do something. I mean, I'm glad that the cutscene is still funny when it breaks, so it doesn't matter too much. There's another secret down here, but this is the one that everyone finds. I tried to stay away from like using the more popular Robot Masters, but Gutsman found his way into the game. That's the only use of money in the whole game, by the way. I wanted to make like shops with like humorous items, but I never got around to it, so you just give it to Gutsman and that's it. It's pretty much impossible to not have the right amount of money by this point anyway, so it's completely useless. But maybe that's like why Mega Man Sprite game is like the anti-capitalist game that we need. What shall I name the puppy? I'm gonna name it Tomato after someone you'll get to know perhaps in a few years. I shouldn't have capitalized that, but it doesn't matter. Here's Dark Pudsey, which, in retrospect, now that Terry Wogan has died, seems like kind of in bad taste, but I still think it's funny. I've been quite lucky that pretty much every enemy in the game I've managed to encounter on this run, so Zero's hair definitely looks like two bananas. I thought that when making the art for this stream, but these enemies are based on, like, the old finger puppets I used to have as a kid. I always thought that their designs were really endearing. There is an I never managed to program a bestiary into the game, but there is one you can read on the Tumblr blog, so if you want to learn about these enemies, you can read little descriptions I've written for them. This one is a Time Warp Tickers reference. I love this scene so much. Rest in peace, Proton. This boss is actually like one that got a lot of praise from the OHR community, just because of his like multiple parts, each with like, oh crap, gotta heal my dog. Wait, the dog didn't work. Oh no, oh yeah, I forgot I can revive now. I forgot that was a feature. Take that, idiot. Yeah, sometimes the explosions here like drift to the right for some reason. They're not supposed to do that, but it's okay. The characters like completely fall into pieces whenever they die. You never really see them because this game is like mind-numbingly easy, but there are like death sprites in the games where the characters collapse into a heap. That was me coughing there. Uncle Proton was actually intended to be permanently dead here, but I couldn't kill him off. I just couldn't. He's too much of a beloved character. He's a funnier character than we've ever had before. I forgot to like put in the text string that would have displayed your custom Dogmobile name here, but it's fine. There was a scrapped area here actually, while I remember. There was originally going to be, like, rather than flying across, you were originally going to, like, ride down a road on top of Dogmobile, and you'd fight, like, Mad Max Fist of the North Star enemies and probably Turbo Man or something, but I never bothered to make it. Here we are, near the end of the game now. Uh, the final area is based on an actual place I used to play as a kid, so it was really fun. I tried to reconstruct it from memory, although it was based on some other locations that also had like ball pits and whatever. But that's like an actual photograph from inside of there. But barf barf. The It's very quiet, but the music in here is the credits music slowed down a lot. It's also very like silly of me looking back that I put like a dialogue, um, like a dialogue text box for the shoe rack, but not the actual signs inside of the final dungeon. It was very silly because everyone I've seen play this game tries to read them, but the place I played as a kid was actually called the Wacky Warehouse, but I just shortened it to Wacky in here. It's also really funny that I put that here because there's nowhere in the game you can actually return to anyway. It's not like an explorable map, so I just did it for like dramatic effect. It's not an exact recreation uh, of the game, but of the place I used to play. Sorry, my illness is making me delirious, but I got it close enough, so it's fine. Here's Servbot. Of course, since making this game, I actually do know what it's like in there now, so take that, 5-year-old game. Things get better. You learn. Yeah, like, even though this game is, like, ridiculous, a lot of people who are actually, like, they make games in this engine a lot, they've, like, praised this area because of all the places where you go underneath and above things. The robot enemy is like a cameo from the Black Hole movie. There's a couple La Milana midis in this game. The other thing with calling this place wacky is like I could put W's everywhere, which kind of reinforce the idea that Dr. Wily is the main villain, so it all comes together. Yeah, this is the sign. Everyone tries to read it, but I forgot to actually put any text there. Sorry. Zero gets like invades your personal space whenever you're in the ball pit. I don't really know why, and I never bothered to fix it. I don't want to fight these ones. I hope I get to show all of the different enemies in this area. I'll grind for them, if not. Here's some more Transformers references to go along with the music in this area. Goodbye, Vile. I love all of the different tubes as well, they're great fun. Iris is later on. Here's like my vaporwave rhythm heaven music for this area. Here's like more dumb memes that I put in. I think you can run away from this boss as well. He's another one that I forgot to like add the unable to run function in, but it doesn't matter. His missiles say the word kebab on them, which is a reference to Parodius. And I still love his creepy human hands. I think he's like a cyborg or a ghost or... it's unknown. He's also a reference to the Forbidden Planet. A lot of like old movie robots are in this area. Right, so I haven't got to encounter all the different enemies, so I'm just gonna show them off. Here's Freeman. Freeman is like, he's like a recurring character. Expect to see him in Tender Case of Death, but he's kind of my Tataka's song, I suppose. He has healing freeze. I don't know what that is, but... come on, Turbo Man, transform. Yeah, he goes. Turbo Man's probably my ultimate favorite enemy in the whole game. I think there's one enemy that we haven't encountered here. Sorry, this is probably not very fun to watch. There he is, though. I had a lot of fun making the enemies in this area. They're actually, like, more interesting than some of the bosses in the game, I think. Yamato, obviously, he's like a reference to Space Battleship Yamato, which is an anime I really like. I've seen you both now. I don't need you anymore. Goodbye. Here she is. Here's Iris. I think she's also someone I should have like introduced within the game because you kind of had to have seen the comics to understand her motivation. I originally intended for Zero to say I also broke up with you because I'm gay, but I never really had a chance to put it in and have it actually be funny, so it kind of like ruined the pacing, so I had to have him come out in the comic instead rather than the game. I definitely have tried harder to like incorporate it now, but it's fine. You and I know that Zero is gay, so it doesn't matter. I guess I've just Dumbledored him actually, I'm sorry. I still love this slide very much. This is such a powerful cutscene. I don't know how intact it is, but there is a playlist with all the music in the game somewhere. If you look closely, there's like a number 3 on the wall here, which is like a little reference to Captain Scarlet. It's really small, but that 3 has always stuck out to me. There's Colosson from Number Wang. I don't know why I put him here, but I'm glad I did. This was meant to be like a robot graveyard or something. I don't really know. Just a creepy cave. the end. He was very useful, I think. Round of applause for Uncle Proton. There was also going to be like a bit where, in this area, where there would have been a conveyor belt, like assembling the ghosts, kind of like the hidden room from Crash Bandicoot 3, and it would be like the ghosts are actually robots, but I think it makes more sense if they're actually ghosts, so I never made it. LSD Dream Emulator sound effect there. Another thing I really wanted to add here was that the Croc, this mech here, is a reference to Megaman for DOS. But I really wanted the Croc to be like a separate character that would walk onto the screen. Ideally with like a Peter Lorre voice, but that's another thing I never made. I was happy with it as it is. I think it's funnier where it's just like a random robot that comes out of nowhere with no explanation. There she is. This is the only joke in the game that was actually planned ahead of time. Everything else in the game I pretty much just made on the spot, but this is like a joke I made before I actually started making the game. Her character motivation wasn't that I made up right here and now, but the photographs here are like actual locations near where I live. Especially here, like Paynton is a few miles away from me. I can go to this pier whenever I want and visit a location made famous by my own game. That's definitely the only reason anyone knows it. Even people who live there. Megaman Sprite game changed the world. When Toby Fox played this game, he thought this was like a dig at him, but I didn't know him when I made this game, so it was just a coincidence. I just wanted some normal names as suggestions. I really like Baten Kaitos. The Trouble Dungeon earlier in the game was also kind of a reference to it, so of course I use it for the penultimate boss music as well. If you think about it, Mother in this game is like basically Lapis Lazuli from Steven Universe. They're exactly the same character. Becky Sugar ripped me off. There's meant to be like a glowing effect that appears on Mega Man's back, but instead it just like drops off the screen for some reason. I think I just saw it walk past then. I don't know why it does that. It was meant to like look like Mega Man's pockets are glowing, but instead it just runs away. I'm better at scripting now, so hopefully Tender Case of Death will be a bit more competent than this. I still love this scene. That head is a rabbit from, I think it's a dog actually, from Rupert the Bear. Why did I start with that? Oh well. The crow's attack is also a reference to Baten Kaitos. I think the main character had a crow-themed attack. Yeah, this game is on Sprite's resource, which is kind of amazing to me. Like, seeing this game amongst, like, actual games. I mean, this is a real game with real Mega Man sprites from real Mega Man games, but, you know, this is, it's just something I made in my spare time, and now it's like, people think of it as a real thing, which is great. Yeah, Mother has a titty twister attack. This is also kind of another joke that was like planned ahead of time, I guess. Mega Man early on asked if he could make the magic B-balls into pasta, and then it's your healing move in the final battle. I think I gave the final boss like a bit too much health, but it doesn't really matter. That sound effect is from Space Battleship Yamato as well. Mother and sons brought to fight. It's quite sad actually, if you think about it. A few people have like said they really enjoyed the story for this game. I don't really understand, but you know, I'm not gonna knock someone for finding value in a story that I haphazardly glued together with chewing gum and paper clips. There she goes. I've never actually spent a lot of time thinking about what these characters would sound like. I feel like it's all just up to you. I personally think that they all have voices that are just kind of like monotonous and hard to listen to for a long amount of time, but farewell, Quick Man. Monotonous but also yelling probably accurately describes what I personally envision their voices to be like. The bird sound here is like the only song that's actually from Mega Man. The birds are from Mega Man Legends. I still really like the art style for these ending cutscenes. Toadman is dead forever. And that's the end. That's my beautiful Mega Man game. I hope you enjoyed uh, watching along and listening to me like deliriously ramble about a game I made 5 years ago. These credits, I feel like I could have done better. They're basically hard to read. The art in between that's like influenced by Cave Story is, I still think, is great. A lot of people have asked about the flyers segment. Someone actually like handed out flyers at a convention advertising the game, so I had to like mention it there. I mean, when I made this game, I had no idea that it would actually like mean something to people, and I think that's like the beauty of making something like this, and why if you have an idea, you should just go ahead and do it because you never really know where what you make will end up, and it can sometimes actually have a positive effect, which I think is beautiful. You know, I've had people say that this game has had something of a positive effect on their life, or that it's helped them get through a hard time, or anything like that. You know, I never imagined that would happen. I just made this game to amuse myself pretty much, and you know, just make something. If you have an idea, create it. It doesn't matter what you use to make it, as long as you make something, it'll be good. Someone will find value in it, and it's better than like not making something, you know. That should be obvious really, but there's been so many ideas that I've just sat on and never made, and now I just make them even if it's like out of software that's 17 years old. I need to really fix the links on the secret page. Some of the images have been pulled down for some reason, but that's the game. That's Mega Man Sprite game. Uh, Thank you very much for attending the stream. I'll be, you know, I have more games currently in the works. Please look forward to Tender Caves of Death, which I hope will be at least as, you know, at least a little bit as good as this. No guarantees or anything. Uh, Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So thank you very much uh, for showing up, and see you next time. Whenever I stream again, for whatever reason. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Good night. Oh wait, also support me on Patreon. Go on Patreon/SplendidLand. Go on there and give me money. Also on Ko-fi. Uh, do that, please. Thanks. Bye bye. Bye. Bye bye. Merry Christmas. Bye.